Hello, hello. Getting set up here for our live starting at 3. Hi, Heather. And the other Heather, how y'all doing? Good to see you. Hey, Heather.
Hey, girl, hey.
How's it going today?
It is much better now that I see your beautiful smiling face.
Turn my volume up so I can actually hear you.
Yeah, your volume was a little funny.
Mine's a little quiet, so I guess the weirdest filter.
I can be stupid while we're waiting. Yeah, we were concerned that our nerves would cause technical difficulties. I'm gonna cut it out now. So we decided to stop on early, and it's very cool. Look, there's people already here.
Yeah, we got Whitney and Heather joining us.
Excellent. Do you want to wait a couple of minutes?
Probably should. I have that it literally just turned 3 o'clock, so maybe wait a minute, and that sounds good.
Sounds excellent. So ladies that are here, do you have questions? Did you have a chance to ask us questions? If not, please put them in the chat.
Or even just to say hey and, how your day is going. Whatever.
That too.
So did you do anything fun this morning? I know you had kind of a late start to your morning.
Well, I always have a late start to my morning because I am an extreme night owl, but last night I went to bed at 3:30, which is a little late for me, and I didn't get to sleep until sometime after 6. I tried so hard, but honestly I was excited about doing this.
Yeah, I was afraid that I was going to have a hard time getting to sleep. We were supposed to have like some torrential downpours or something. We have like a flash flood watch going on until this evening. So between that and excited over this, then thought I was going to have a difficult time sleeping last night.
But you did not.
Apparently I slept like a rock. I had a weird dream waking up, but yeah, I slept late. So
those alarm clock dreams are so weird, right?
I didn't set an alarm, which is why I got up late. It was just I don't even know. I don't even know. It was an odd dream.
Okay. But the most interesting thing that happened to me this morning is that I don't fix my hair every day because like I'll look at myself in the mirror all day long because I fixed my hair and like I love the way it looks fixed, but I don't care enough about it to like do it every day. Like just like but I misjudged the amount of hair product, so it is like extra fabulous today.
I love it. Your hair looks so good.
Thank you, but it feels a little like stiff, and I'm just like, oh
Well,
my
I don't know how
god.
it feels. I obviously can't go with the texture, but it looks great.
Well, thank you. I'm so envious of like your natural curls, and they lay really well for you.
Sometimes they do. It depends on the day.
I know everybody says that they like envy people with curly hair, and curly haired people are like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize the struggle until suddenly I had the struggle, and we're learning.
Yeah, because you're one of the people that you're experiencing the curly hair after chemo.
Mm-hmm. Chemo curls going on. So that, in addition to why we are here and new bodies and scars and all of that, trying to get used to this and what it needs. Yeah, there's a whole big learning curve going on. So
It's a whole new world, and then we got the interesting global situation going on. There's a lot. I'm gonna turn on my overhead light. I will be right back.
Okay. It's funny, I have my laptop over here as well so I can see questions and comments and such, and it is so far behind where we are.
Yeah, so if you do ask us a question, we're not ignoring you. It just take a second for IG to catch up and let us see it. So, I'm gonna put on jewelry. I always wear jewelry, but I'm pierced, so most people don't see my jewelry. And that's like one of the biggest things that I was bummed about with having the mastectomy was, having the mastectomy, and they told me like the morning of the surgery that they decided to take my nipple. And I was like, so I had to like mourn that real quick while I was waiting to go into surgery. That was special.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I lost my piercing, and so now I'm uneven. now I'm like super uneven. I've got like little boob, big boob, pierced, nothing.
Oh, really?
And they can reconstruct nipples, but I already talked to my piercer, and they're like, yeah, we can't pierce a reconstructed nipple. So I guess I could get it tattooed on. That would be kind of sassy.
Why you couldn't pierce that? That's interesting.
Probably because the new tissue is not going to have a natural blood supply, and it would probably just rot off.
Oh, wow.
So I will warn everybody, I have a twisted sense of humor, and I can have a potty mouth. I'm going to rein myself in a little bit in deference to Beth, because Beth is not a potty mouth person unless she gets really mad, apparently.
Yeah. Or just really passionate about something. Yeah.
We're getting hearts. Hi. All right, so it's about 6 after.
Yeah.
And using as we are, people probably would like us to talk about what they showed up for.
Exactly. So I have already shared with Heather any questions, comments, concerns I already got from all y'all when I posted on Instagram as far as, what would you like us to discuss? So this is going to be kind of just casual chat style, go back and forth as far as what we've experienced and what helps us. But Heather, thank you for being here. I do appreciate all of your knowledge and resource coming into this. So I am excited about this.
I'm excited too. Do you want to give people kind of a brief introduction of like who you are and kind of your history with this? And I'll do the same, and then we'll kind of jump in.
Sure. So my experience, so I'm 34 years old, diagnosed at 32, triple negative, stage 3 breast cancer. So because it's triple negative and it's kind of aggressive, then had to do the whole gamut as far as single mastectomy, chemo, radiation. I had reconstruction in November. So I've been through a lot of the typical journey of hair loss and losing a boob, and now new boobs, and kind of just getting to know myself all over again, hair included. And yeah, so hey Kara, how you doing? Thanks for joining.
And you have started this fabulous blog for anybody who doesn't know.
Thank you. Yes, I have started a blog, Redefining Eunice, which is where my handle comes from. So it's kind of my advice and stories for my own journey through cancer, but it's also part travel blog. So my goal, my dream at some point, hopefully next year, is to buy a truck and camper, live on the road, and just kind of share our country. I know, I'm so excited. Through travel and photography and lesser known places, as well as national parks and that sort of thing. And just kind of have this life of adventure after cancer. So Eunice actually comes from what I want to name my camper. So.
And it means victory, yes?
She conquers.
She conquers.
Yeah, it comes from the same Greek root as Nike. So victory. So yeah.
Nice. I love your story. I love what you do. Most of you probably are aware of her blog. If you're not, go check it out. It is not your average blog. She reads like a magazine writer. Like, she's good.
Thank
And she has a
you.
fabulous new freebie out of creative self-care. What did you call it?
5 unconventional ways to treat yourself during chemo. So the link to that is in my profile if you haven't checked it out yet. But it was kind of like my favorite ways to kind of have fun during chemo and just kind of celebrate yourself again.
Yeah, it's really fun. Okay, fabulous. Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be connected with you. I'm really, really happy to be able to jump in and kind of revisit my roots. So I'm Heather Wylde. I am actually I am the quirky entrepreneur. So I'm actually a business coach now. My background began in life coaching, but about 10 years ago. But as an adult, I spent over a decade working in the adult industry. Learned a whole lot about sex. And because of that background, that was what I originally chose to niche in as a coach, and attended a Sex Coach Institute to learn specifically about sex coach training. But it was it was great training, but a lot of this I'm like, really? Like, people don't know this?
I would probably be one of those people that you'd be like, oh my gosh, girl, get it together.
Now, one of the you heard us talk, my friend Sienna Sinclair, when I did a live with her, like part of the training was we had to go out to California and be in a room where there was a panel of people in BDSM lifestyle that came and spoke with us. And there was a panel of transgender people that came and spoke with us. And but most of the weekend was like watching different types of porn, just so that, people could be aware of, the different ways that human sexuality expresses itself. And it was really like, like me and Sienna were like looking at each other and like looking, and we're like, people don't know about this. So just that to say, I'm very comfortable with sexuality and very knowledgeable. And I've learned a lot from books. Books are great, but I didn't learn everything that I know from books, which makes, to me, hands-on, is a great way. I prefer to learn from people who have actually been in the trenches some way, somehow. Okay. And then when I was 42, I was diagnosed with HER2 positive stage 3 cancer. And it had started off as they thought it was DCIS. But it was 7 centimeters of DCIS that wasn't feelable by myself or a doctor. A mammogram caught it, and they were like, because you couldn't feel it. And anyway, that's a whole other story about my diagnosis. But yeah, so a routine mammogram caught it when they went in, and they knew from the start, because it was so big, that they were going to have to do a mastectomy. And then the morning of, I find out they're going to take my nipple. And then when they did the pathology report, it actually was stage 3 and had gotten into my lymph nodes. So I lost 16 lymph nodes, as well as my breast and my nipple. And I had to, because HER2 positive is an aggressive cancer, I had to go through the full gamut of radiation. I had, fortunately, not as much radiation as, chemo as a lot of people have to have. I had 6 chemo treatments. And then I did 25, I think, radiation treatments. And then I had a full year of infusion drugs. But the hard chemo was only 6 treatments.
Right.
Only. But I know, like, you had Red Devil. I dodged a bullet. The first oncologist that I went to was highly recommended. He had a great personality. He wanted to do Red Devil. I got a second opinion. And my second opinion was like, no, it's not really necessary. And I'm like, I'm going to go with you. But I did experience, the hair loss. I think at the end I had about 20 eyebrows left. I had about 6 eyelashes. My hair never fully fell out, but it was like very, very thin. But then the stuff that didn't fall out kept growing, so I kept having to buzz it.
Oh, well, that's awkward.
It was odd. But fortunately, I had gone through a really wild streak. Well, I've always been wild. I had a particular type of wild streak in college, and I had shaved my head back then, and so I had seen myself with that. But I finished treatment last August. My hair, as you can see, is growing in. It was growing in a little slow at first compared to my normal rate, but now, of course, during a pandemic where it's not really a great idea for me to get my hair cut, now it's growing like gangbusters. And the finding out, I mean, diagnosis, I mean, the whole process is just like nothing's fun about it. Nothing's fun. And there's never a good time to get cancer, right? But I was particularly perturbed about the whole thing because I had just gone back to Weight Watchers. I had lost about 10 pounds by the time that I got diagnosed. By the time I actually had my surgery, I had lost 25 pounds, and my hair had been short for a few years, and I had grown it out. It had just gotten like past my shoulders, and I had spent months getting it like bleached softly so that it would be this really pretty shade of blonde. I'm naturally a brunette, or I was once upon a time. And then I found out that I was going to have chemo, and I found out that chemo makes people fat now, and and I was going to lose all this hair that I had spent so much time and money. I was pissed. And to top it all off, like I had been in kind of like a depression, for a long time, but I had finally bought a car to use as a black car limo. I had started my limo company. I had gotten a job. I was losing weight. I had my hair all pretty. And the plan was, by the end of that year, by the end of 2018, it was my year, I was going to be debt free, my goal weight, and I was going to start dating. And then I got cancer.
Right? I swear it has the best worst timing ever.
Yeah. And so so that's my story. I have experienced the lowered libido. I have experienced the vaginal dryness. So much fun. I have experienced, I definitely have scars. So a lot of this, most of what I'm going to talk to you about today, I'm going to be talking to you about my experience. And if you take nothing away from this, know that your sexual expression and your confidence and you just feeling good in your body and your ability to experience pleasure, whether that's with a partner or just with yourself, it is important. And if you are having problems with it, there are sex coaches, there are certified sex coaches. Contact me. I will help you get in touch with some of them. There are sexual therapists, and it may not, because sex is so taboo, they may not exist in your area. You may have to reach out, but thank God for the internet. You can do a lot of stuff just online. The biggest thing I want everybody to take away from this is that it is important. Don't let anybody shut you down and make you feel like you're asking too much. Like you should just be grateful to be alive. I definitely got that feeling when I was experiencing hot flashes, and I'm like, guys, this has got to go. And but yeah, don't let anybody shame you about it. Like, it is your body. God gave us pleasure. We are supposed to enjoy ourselves, and it is your right to enjoy your body and to feel good in your body and to feel good about your body. So definitely reach out to me, reach out to Beth, and we'll help you, get hooked up with some resources. So do you want to jump in with some questions, or do you have anything you want to add?
I was going to say absolutely, and amen to all of that. That, yeah, it is your body, it is your temple, it is the only body that you will have. And so our goal is to help anyone who watches this be a little bit more comfortable with their bodies. And until I met you, I didn't realize that there were such a thing as sex coaches. So absolutely, I think that is an incredibly important thing to point out. So yes, if any of you were, just joining in, and reach out to me if you need to, and I will help connect you to Heather or whatever resources that way. So
absolutely.
Jumping in. So I don't really know where you want to start. So we have some questions here. Do you want to start with the libido then? Or kind of
Yeah.
what is your niche?
I'm sorry.
What is kind of your niche, your something that you feel the strongest with?
Well, first, real quick, I don't know if you were able to get in touch with the people. Some people were asking questions about how to navigate having an ostomy bag. And unfortunately, I was not able to find a good resource about that. I found a friend, but they weren't comfortable speaking about it. There's resources out there. There is probably a sex coach, honestly, that specializes in cancer patients. I don't know that, like, I don't know who that is, but I guarantee you there is somebody out there that can help. And if not, like, I can put you in touch with somebody. So unfortunately, that's not something I was able to find something about. And I try to stay, my goal is to stay in my integrity 100% of the time. And I never speak about something like, if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know, because I never want to, mislead anyone. But we can just kind of go in the order of the questions that you sent over to me in Messenger. And the first one was the struggling with ostomies, but the second one is dealing with well, I tell you what, let's start with confidence.
Okay.
And like comfortable with the body, because that cascades down and affects everything else.
Valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people, our bodies change. And for some of us, like, our bodies change really drastically. I had the deep procedure. So I have one fake breast and I have one real breast. And then I have, now a scar that runs, from hip bone, like past hip bone to hip bone, mine does. It's healing very well. But, I have no nipple on the left side and I'm missing my piercing. Not that I'm bitter. I'm going to tilt this down a little bit so you can see. So I do have a port scar. My lighting is not that great, so it's not showing up that well, but I mean, it is there. Another thing, apparently my breast tissue came up really high. So I don't know if you can kind of see. Yeah, you can kind of see that indentation. So I have an indentation over my, where they removed my mastectomy. And this bothered me really badly when I first, came out of surgery. I was very upset about it. And now, like, I recognize most people don't even notice it, and you can see, I don't know if you can, see, I don't know if it's going to be that noticeable too, but one boob is significantly larger than the other because I haven't had my second surgery to have, my right breast, made to match. And I actually wanted to go smaller because I've had big boobs my whole life. I was like, let me see how the other half looks.
I love that.
And so, that was very upsetting to me at first. And they told me, oh, we can do it with, reconstruction. Don't worry about it, yada, yada, yada. And now, at this point, like, I went to see my doctor for a follow-up and she said, we can do more fat grafting. Well, my deep procedure, I had some complications. I'm really happy I did it and everything is fine now, but I had a lot of fat necrosis. So I had an incision that just wouldn't heal and just kept leaking. And it didn't get infected, thank God. It could have been, so much worse. But after that, I'm like, I don't think my body likes the whole fat grafting thing. So I think I'm just going to leave this. And I know it's there, and anybody who's looking really closely knows it's there. But I mean, please believe most people are walking around so wrapped up in their own heads and probably in their own mobile device. They're not really looking that hard. They're just not. There's a quote. Oh, God. I'll think of it in a minute. It was a really, really good quote. You're not as important as you think you are.
That is something I'm really like working on because I have always been self-conscious like that and thinking, oh my gosh, what are they thinking of me? And yeah, the older I get, the more I realize like they are just as caught up with their own self-consciousness that nobody's paying attention.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. So, you do have to accept, like, your body is never going to look like it did pre-surgery. You can be very proactive. You want to be very comfortable with your surgeons, and your cosmetic surgeons, and you can be picky, and you can get as many consultations as you want, and I encourage you to. But no matter what, nobody has a magic wand, and you're not going to look the same. You're just not. And if that's something that is really causing you a lot of depression, it may be something that you really need to mourn, and there are therapists. So coaching is really great for helping people to look at where they are now and where they want to be later. In general, coaching doesn't look back, right? So that's more of the therapist realm. I do help people process some emotional events and everything, but if you're really in a deep depression, and really, really having like bad emotional struggles with it, then a therapist would be more appropriate. And there are therapists that specialize in medical issues. I had a medical specialty therapist, teletherapist, while I was going through treatment that really was very helpful. So it's coming to terms with like, you're never going to be the same. One funny thing about my deep is that I have very, very fine hair, but I have a lot of it on my body. Like, I had a friend who actually was like, look how hairy your belly is. I remember this from high school. So because my foob is made of belly fat, I've got a hairy foob.
Well, I'm right there with you. And I'm like, what is this? Like, do I shave it? Do I leave it? The things we have to get used to after all these surgeries, right?
Nobody warned it. Well, I didn't know I was getting a new belly button until the day of surgery. And she's like, oh, this is where the new belly. And I was like, well, son of a bitch.
I found out a lot the day of surgery. I don't know what that is like. What is with the communication and doctors? It's like, can we plan this ahead of time?
I mean, don't. That's a whole other live stream. But yeah, so when I found out, I was like, oh well, I don't know why I didn't think of that. That makes sense. Hey, new belly button. But yeah, so at the follow up, they were talking to me about filling this in, and I was like, my body has been through a lot. I kind of felt guilty, which is no reason for anybody else to feel guilty. This is just the way that my mind works. I kind of felt guilty putting my body through extra surgeries for reconstruction. I'm like, hasn't my poor body been through enough? But for me, I'm like, okay, I'm 40. I was 43 at the time. No, I was already 44. And I was like, I haven't dated him forever. If I was married and I felt, absolutely just comfortable being flat, and there's nothing wrong with being flat. I've seen women that really pull off being flat. So that's fine. But for me, I was like, I really want to go into this dating thing, like feeling as good about myself as possible. But I did tell them that if my flat failed, not to put an implant in. Did you?
Yeah, I thought if the flat fails, then I don't trust that something else is going to work out. And so if flat fails, then I just want to go flat.
Yeah. And that would have been an adjustment, and I would have had to mourn, that, but I just wasn't, since my cancer wasn't genetic, I never really liked man-made chemicals anyway, and now I'm really like, so nothing against anyone who chooses to have implants. I think that is a fine option, but for me, it didn't fit with my value systems. So a lot of it is just coming to a place of acceptance, and so you may have a hairy foob. I was a little upset about it. Now I just think it's funny. And because like, for me, like I have a warped sense of humor, and whoever I end up with is going to have a warped sense of humor, or it just ain't gonna work. So I just think we'll like name it and like treat it as a pet, But if it bothered me, that my surgeon was like, oh, well, you need to get that lasered. And I was like, yes, let's abuse this area more.
Did you really say that?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
She has zero chill. She is a brilliant surgeon, but I have almost walked away from her twice because she just pissed me off. Zero chill. Brilliant, zero chill. Zero like personal skills. So, you know, it really, so much of your sexiness, whether you've ever been through something like this or not, is confidence. And I always think about, you know, movies where you have like the leading lady in the beginning of the movie is, looks real messed up. You know, they've got her hair is wrong, what she's wearing is wrong, her makeup is wrong. And then like she's got a transformation that happens, you know, midway through the movie and suddenly she's beautiful. Well, it's the same person all along, you know? But and you know, makeup and clothes and you know, yada yada yada, that is part of it, but mostly it's confident. Like you can see like a really beautiful woman, and if she's hunched and, you know, biting her nails furiously, which I'm a freaking nail biter, so I'm calling myself out, you're just not, that's just not as attractive. And think about Charlize Theron in that movie where she played like, I don't know if she was drug addicted, but she played like a prostitute that became a serial killer. You know, she gained a lot of weight for that movie, and then she didn't have makeup and everything, but she looked like a completely different person. And she, in my opinion, is one of the most stunning women on the planet. You know, so, you know, and I learned this when I went into adult work. I was always a tomboy, and I didn't know how to fix my hair. I kind of know how to do my hair. I kind of knew how to do my makeup. I didn't know how to dress myself for sure. And being in that industry, I had to learn all that stuff, and I had to start getting my nails done and my eyebrows done. And what I learned is that a lot of what we think of as beauty, or, you know, and even natural beauty, is really just good grooming. You know, and then the self-care helps you to feel better about yourself. And so it's about like defining what sexy means to you, what feels sexy to you, and giving yourself, you know, the candles or the bubble baths or um, the exercise or whatever it is, the good nutrition, whatever it is that makes you feel more confident, you know, because really, like, I show up and I'm not confident 100% of the time, but I'm doing a lot to work on my own personal, like, grounding in my power lately. And I guarantee when I show up and I'm talking, nobody is like looking at the scar, even though I wear stuff that shows it. Nobody's looking at this dent. They're just like, wow, she's really powerful, you know? Um, what do you have to add about that?
I think I agree with the confidence part, and I agree. Meditation and working out have been a couple ways that I've really kind of gained my confidence back. Like meditation, as far as, you know, checking in with the body, there's a part in this with Headspace. I meditate to it every evening, and there's a part where you have to do a body scan from head to toe. And so I always check in with myself and, you know, how is everything feeling? And that combined with working out and seeing the progression I've made also from deep flap and, you know, basically going from no muscles whatsoever, feeling like crap on chemo and feeling really lethargic after surgery, to then working out and little by little seeing some of that strength come back. And just kind of sitting with that and then analyzing that in meditation, those two combined have been huge for getting my confidence back.
Awesome. And I love what you did. You did something very interesting once you finished treatment. You had a photo shoot done.
Yes. And that, it was difficult when I saw the pictures the first time, but it was also very healing. And especially looking back, it's like now I want to do that every year around my cancerversary, because it was such a good idea. It was such a beautiful thing to see myself, how somebody else sees me in
Mm-hmm.
that, and how they captured me.
And it
So
was boudoir photography. It wasn't like she just went and had some headshots done. She got sexy.
yes, and actually, if any of you viewing this are subscribed to Wildfire magazine, I actually have a magazine article coming out in um, the June magazine, that's about that very thing, about my boudoir shot and my self-image. So look for that if you are subscribed.
Awesome. My friend Sienna Sinclair, she is a certified sex coach, and she is she's all about women's confidence. She's a